How can you tell if you're an energetic burnout, and why does this matter? Now, I'm a self-activation coach, and actually 2 years ago, I called myself an energetic burnout coach because basically everybody who came to me was in some form of energetic burnout. Now, when I looked around, I realized that actually most of the population is in some kind of energetic burnout. So have a listen, because most likely this will apply to you. Now, the reason I don't just use the word burnout and that I use energetic burnout is because there are actually 3 types of burnout. Now, we are only really aware of physical burnout because, of course, your body literally shuts down. You get tired, you're exhausted, you can't do anything. You might even feel pain in your body. And if you're in a very deep energetic burnout state, this might even show up in illnesses like chronic fatigue and things like that, right? Your body is just shutting down. Now, often we think that we need to address the physical burnout, and that's the only thing we focus on, right? You might take time off work, you might rest more, you might be like, okay, I need a nap, whatever it is. And then you do the thing and you're still in burnout, right? And you're like, I'm still tired all the time. And this is when I started to realize that even when people are taking the physical rest, right, they're addressing the physical burnout, they weren't actually addressing the other 2 forms of energetic burnout, which are subconscious. And these are our mental energy and our emotional energy, or mental burnout and emotional burnout. Now, what does that mean? Now, let's just say that you're resting, right? But actually, your mind is going, right? You're just like burning mental energy as if you were a millionaire. And I always love to do this little, boom, 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 there I go again, burning mental energy like a millionaire. And this exhausts us, right? The constant use of this mental energy, right, will completely negate the efforts of your rest time, because you're not actually really resting, right? Your body's not in a resting stage. Or it might be emotional energy. So you might be, let's say you're not working anymore, or you've decided to take a gap year or whatever that is for you. And but you've got a lot of pain, or you haven't really healed some trauma, or you're having difficulty letting go of the anger and the frustration and all the emotions about how you might have been treated, or, or something like that, right? Or even just like childhood trauma, maybe you're still in a very normal life, you've got your 9 to 5, you've got your family, you've got all of these things, but you're constantly reaching this really low level burnout each day, and you can't understand why, right? It's not really physical, but you're just feeling drained and dull and sluggish and, lack of passion. Burnout shows up in many different ways. And it might be because you're just spending all this emotional energy on, kind of this underlying frustration and anger about a past situation. And usually they all gang up, right? So if you're holding on to an anger or frustration, you're using the emotional energy, but it then is usually also triggering mental energy. So you might not even realize, but let's say you have a free moment and you're washing the dishes or watering the garden or something, and you're not even fully aware that in the back of your mind there's this narrative going on, like, oh, if only such and such didn't do this. Or it might even be a negative self-talk, right? You might be constantly beating yourself up, analyzing the way you acted in the past or whatever. And so your mind is constantly be like, oh, if only I didn't say that, or I shouldn't have done that, or blah, 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 right? We don't realize that this is burning so much energetic, our energy. It's burning so much in our body. It requires our body to do something, right? That's why we know that we're using energy that is contributing to depleting our energy stock, right? And if you do it too much, and if this is on all day, you're going to constantly get down to that burnout mode. So it's really important to be aware that even if you're taking that time, like I said, maybe you're just watering the plants and it's a really beautiful and relaxing and peaceful action, but you're not actually really resting because your body is still using all that subconscious mental and emotional energy. So if you've really been struggling to make moves or get out of this kind of place that you are, it's usually not because you're not trying, right? Usually these people are actually trying really, really hard to get unstuck, or they're trying really hard to get out of their burnout mode or wherever they're in, right? Of course, who wants to be stuck down a big, deep hole? Nobody. And so they're really making efforts. I really see people, a lot of the people who come to me for self-activation sessions, they have probably done more than anybody else, right? They've made big moves, they've tried really hard, but because they don't have enough energy, they're not in a positive energetic state, they can't complete the cycle of change. So when people come to me and they want to self-activate their potential, they want to get unstuck, they don't know why they're constantly in burnout. They don't know why they keep quitting and failing and giving up. And then they start triggering even more mental and emotional energy, because then they start saying, oh, I'm a failure, I'm lazy, it's all my fault, I can't do better, right? Trust me, I love to throw myself a pity party. And pity parties are important, I will say. You do need to actually release some of those emotions, and some of that is because it's showing up because you need to release and think about it and release those emotions again. But it becomes very dangerous when it gets stuck in the subconscious and it becomes a habit, right? So sometimes, like I said, we're not even aware that it's really constantly on, right? So we're not even really aware that we're constantly burning energy. And I think one of the biggest signs of this is that, like people who grind their teeth in their sleep, or, maybe they're like, I used to always like nibble in my mouth, like, and I realized I was constantly doing something. Or people who like pick their nails or fidget, that's usually actually a physical symptom that there's an emotional or mental energy being burnt on repeat, right? And when it gets so overwhelming in the subconscious, it will normally appear as a physical action. And so you'll even see it constantly coming up, right? It's really your body being like, help, you're burning me out, stop. So if you've been in a mode of burnout, or like I said, this can show up as many different ways. You might feel dull about life. You might have lost all your passion. You feel unexcited, or you're constantly easily angered, or reaching frustration or tears and bitterness, or whatever this is, and you're really getting there very quickly all the time. It's usually because you're in an energetic burnout. Not because you're a bad person, not because you're just a bitter person. It's usually because your body is so tired and it's just asking you to take a moment and just reduce some of this energy that you're burning like a millionaire. Now, we have a finite amount of energy every day, right? So what happens is that you have to make sure that at the end of each day, if you really want to stay in a good mood and, feeling good and positive, that you have to be in a positive energetic state. So we need to look at what is creating and giving us a negative return on our energetic investment. And when we look at that, we need to look at where we are spending emotional energy, mental energy, or physical energy, where we put in the energy and we don't get anything back, or we don't get a positive return. All it does is make us feel even more negative, even more tired, even, less inspired. So if you're in that energetic state, I really ask you to start writing down how much of each type of energy are you spending, and is it giving you a positive or a negative return on your energy? Now, of course, that's a very complicated and a very deep thing. And this is exactly what my 6-module dysfunctional course is all about. We actually go through it week by week and really look at all the causes and threads that contribute to this. But this is just a really good start of how you can really start thinking about your energy and where you're spending it and why you're feeling burnout. So join me in the next video. If you're really interested about self-activating your highest potential, make sure you subscribe and we will get you out of burnout and into a constantly positive energetic state.